Hi, guys, and welcome to our next lesson for our personal narrative. We are continuing to learn more and more about different ways that we can improve our writing and make it more interesting and engaging for our readers. Today's focus is all on word choice. And I'm going to start off by reading you guys another example of a personal narrative that used really good word choice. And I want you to hear and listen for some of those interesting words that this author used. The title is Tasty Treat. I sat completely hypnotized by the bright, flickering yellow and orange colors of the campfire. I watched as the fire seemed to reach up toward the dark night sky. It was a chilly night, but my thick sweater and the fire helped to keep my hands, feet, and face nice and warm. We had arrived at our campsite earlier in the day, and this was our first night camping. We all waited anxiously for my mother, who had gone to the truck to grab what she described as a tasty camping treat. "All righty, kiddos, here we have it," called my mom as she made her way back to us. We all leaned forward in our camping chairs, intrigued at what she had brought over. She had a large box of graham crackers, huge square marshmallows, and a humongous chocolate bar that read "king size" on the packaging. She also had a bundle of long wire-like sticks clanging together under her arm. "Graham crackers are our tasty treat?" my sister asked, looking puzzled and disappointed at the same time. "No, silly, it's called s'mores. You roast a marshmallow and smash it between two graham crackers and a piece of chocolate. You guys are going to love it," my mom explained. "Here, watch the pro," my dad bragged as he grabbed the wire and carefully poked it through the marshmallow. He slowly held it out over the flame, but never let it touch the fire. We all watched carefully as my dad sat patiently, eyes fixed on his marshmallow. I watched as he turned it over and over. Next, he took it out and stacked it nicely on top of a graham cracker and piece of chocolate. Finally, he placed a graham cracker on top. "All right, now it's time to enjoy," he told us as he opened his mouth really wide. Then he glanced to see our wide-eyed looks as he began to take a bite. I'm sure we looked like puppies begging for our first meal. "Okay, you guys can have it, but you have to share it. I'll start making more for you guys while you see how much you like them," said my dad, passing the plate to me with the s'more on it. The first thing that hit my nose was the amazing smell of milk chocolate. Then came the sweet scent of roasted marshmallow. The marshmallow was light brown with a hint of yellow lining. I picked up the s'more, holding it by the graham cracker on top and bottom. I raised it to my mouth and sunk my teeth into it. Crunch, crunch. It was the most delicious taste of melted chocolate, ooey gooey marshmallow, and crumbling graham cracker. I have never had anything like it. I hesitated as I passed the remains down to my two sisters to share. "So, what do you think?" asked my mom. "What do I think? I think it's going to be our new camping tradition. My compliments to the chef," I giggled, looking at Dad. My mom, dad, and sisters nodded and laughed too. The author of this personal narrative used some really juicy words instead of some of those boring words that we tend to use over and over in our writing, like cool or fun or good, big. She or he found those words and made sure that they were a little more interesting. For example, instead of saying big chocolate bar, they said humongous chocolate bar. Let's find another one. Um, Hypnotized, that's a great word. I sat completely hypnotized by the bright, flickering yellow and orange colors of the campfire. Let's see if we can find any more. Here's another one that I see, begging for our first meal instead of saying asking or um, something like that. They made sure that it was nice and interesting for us as the reader. So today we're going to focus on using some juicy words to make your words more interesting. So instead of saying dinner was good, let's think of some words that we can use instead of that word good that would make it more interesting. Or I love math, she said. Instead of saying said at the end of or beginning of each dialogue, how else could we say that? Or it was fun. Instead of it was fun, what could we say differently? Here are some examples. Instead of saying dinner was good, we could say dinner was delicious or dinner was mouth-watering. Instead of saying, I love math, she said, we could say she exclaimed or declared, replied, or announced. Those are all more juicy or interesting ways to say the word said. And instead of saying fun, we could say it was exciting or entertaining or enjoyable. So we're taking some of those boring or basic words and making it more interesting. On this page in Canvas, I included a chart that has many other ways to say some basic words like nice, good, bad, sad, happy, laughed, like, said, big, little, and there's even more. So use that chart today as you guys come up with some juicy words for some of those basic words. You guys will be starting off by filling out this anchor chart on page 9 using juicy words to make your words more interesting. We'll go here, interesting. And I want you guys to come up with 2 different ways to say good, 2 different ways to say said, and 2 different juicy ways to say fun. And after you guys fill out that anchor chart, I want you guys to go back into your personal narrative and find some of those basic words that you can change into more juicy words. So, for example, when I said, wow, she really seems to like you, Mr. Yatsko said, I see a couple of basic words in here. One would be like. So instead of like, I could use a word like adore. He really seems to adore you. That sounds a lot more interesting, doesn't it? Or when Mr. Yatsko said, instead of the word said, I could say Mr. Yatsko pronounced. And on this page, instead of saying, I looked at Mr. Yatsko and said, I'm going to get rid of the word said, and instead I'll use the word declared. I declared, well, I guess we are going to take her home. There is no way I can leave this sweet baby behind. He agreed and held her for a while too. This is the one for us, we told the farmer. We thanked him and then left the farm with our puppy in the car for the first time. In the end, she chose us and we couldn't be happier she did. All right, I hope you guys are able to find a lot of words in your personal narratives today that you guys can use and change into some more juicy vocabulary words.